Well, first off, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. Went to Hewitt-Trussville. I graduated from Hewitt-Trussville High School. I was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates my senior year, but I decided not to sign and start a professional career. I accepted a scholarship to University of South Alabama, and I spent 3 years down there, and then I was drafted again after my junior year by the Atlanta Braves, and I decided that it was probably time, if I was going to try to chase a dream of being a professional ball player, I should start. So I signed with the Braves, and just kept working my way up their system. It took me 4 or 5 years working my way through the system, and then finally got my first call to Atlanta in May of 1994. So I was there, I think, about 18 days, maybe, somewhere around in there, and then I got sent back down. They had a player go on the disabled list, and so when he came off the disabled list, and they didn't need me, to be there anymore, so I went back down to AAA at the time, which was in Richmond, Virginia. And then I got called back up later in that season. They had a couple doubleheaders in St. Louis, and I was up there for about 3 more days in the 94, and got sent back down after that. Those doubleheaders there in St. Louis, there's all kind of rules and regulations about roster movement and stuff like that during the season. And so sometimes, you get called up for a day or two, and then you get sent back down, and it's because of rules and regulations within the sport. They've changed a little bit over the years, but anyhow, I went back down to Richmond, and then, of course, we had the strike. The owners and the players struck. There was no playoffs, World Series, anything, 94. But at that time, I'd already been added to the 40-man roster. So I was part of the union. So I went to spring training in 1995 when the strike was over. I made the team in 95, and so I spent the rest of the next 10 years in the major leagues. 3 of it there in Atlanta, and then I left and went to Montreal. Was there for about 4.5 years, and I got traded to the Florida Marlins. I spent the last 2.5 years of my career down there as a player. So, playing in the World Series was kind of weird, because my very first year, 1995, we went to the World Series to beat Cleveland. It was Atlanta's first championship of any kind, I think. And then the very next year, we go back again, and we're playing the Yankees this time, 1996. And we win the first 2 games at Yankee Stadium, and we felt pretty good that we were going to have an opportunity to repeat. Except for the Yankees had other thoughts. We ended up losing 4 straight games. And I thought at the end of that series that I may never get a chance to play the Yankees in the World Series again. I mean, these things just don't happen all the time. So you're fortunate to play in 1, but to go to 2 is really fortunate. And as luck would have it, after I was traded to from the Expos to the Marlins, and in 2003, we beat the Cubs in an NLCS. There's a controversial game there, the Bartman game, as they call it, Game 6. I led off that inning and had a pop out to left field, and then ended up coming back around and hit the second time in that inning, and I hit a 3-run double. It kind of extended our lead and put it out of reach for them. And we ended up playing the Yankees in the World Series that year, which was what the Red Sox referred to as the Aaron Boone game, because in Game 7 he hit a home run off Tim Wakefield to put them in the World Series. So did get to play the Yankees again in the World Series, and we actually beat them. So that was pretty much my career. I was utility player. A lot of people call it versatility player. I could play anywhere on the field. The only position I didn't play in a major league game, I didn't pitch. Although I probably had a couple opportunities, just managers just didn't do it. But I don't know if I was one of the few guys you could actually say I didn't really care about my numbers or what they were, what my baseball card would look like on the back. For all I cared about was winning the games, and so that's all that mattered to me. And after I ended up playing, I managed a couple of years, and I coached in the Blue Jays organization for about 10 years, and then I decided to come home, and I got a young son. He was going into the 9th grade at Northside Methodist, and so as things would work out for me, I got a coaching and teaching position there. Now I'm the athletic director and a baseball coach. Still coach a little football and whatever else they need me to do there, and so that's what I do now. I think that kind of sums things up. I mean, there's a lot of things in between playing dates and stuff like that we could talk about, games and memorable games and things. But it's just a daily grind in baseball. It's every day. You get a few days off a month, but you're playing every day. You're entertainment. So that's what we're there for. The best team I played for was probably either one of those 95, 96 Braves teams. I mean, they were really good. We had really good pitching, and we had a combination of everything. The most fun team that I played for was probably the 2003 Marlins. We had such a good time on that team, and didn't start out so fun, but it ended up being a lot of fun to be a part of that team. That was a fairly young team that they finally just decided they're going to put things together, and we won a lot of ball games. Something that happened in that, as we talk about things that happen in the midst of seasons and things like that not a lot of people know or even think about or whatever. That season in 2003 started out, Jeff Torborg was our manager. And we're probably into May, I'm guessing. Our record wasn't very good, and he gets fired, and they let go of the pitching coach and a couple other guys, bench coach, whatever. Well, on Jeff Torborg, I believe he had a home in New Jersey, I think. His wife was a former Miss New Jersey, and talk about some really nice people, just salt of the earth people. Jeff was one of my favorites. His youngest son, Dale, was a WWF wrestler. Went by the name of the Demon at one time. He was basically a Gene Simmons look-alike type deal. He did some wrestling before then. He was a different character, but then he took on the Gene Simmons type thing, and that was an experience to listen to him talk about Gene Simmons and all that kind of stuff. But he goes home after he gets fired, he and his wife, and they end up in New Jersey, and he's sitting one morning drinking coffee, and he hears all this commotion next door. Goes outside, and there's a young boy had fallen into a swimming pool and was drowning, and Jeff ended up saving his life. And so we talk about how God will do certain things at certain times, and we don't understand some of these things. But Jeff, if he had not gotten fired from the the Marlins, he would have never been home at that time, and that young man probably would not be around today. So, and that's the attitude Jeff has. He says, and it was funny because when I talked to him, I saw him later, showed up. I can't remember where we were at, but he showed up at a game one time, just see the guys. He used to do some announcing and stuff like that, but he told me about that, what had happened. And he just said, he goes, you know what, that's what the Lord had in store for me. So, hey, because a lot of people, you get fired from your job, you're just devastated, and especially in sports. I mean, it's just it affects a lot of people anytime someone's let go. He just, hey, that's what's supposed to happen, and that's what happened. So, anyhow, really good man. Wife she was a sweetheart too. They're very caring people, and I hated to see him go, but we ended up winning the World Series. It was kind of surreal, to be honest with you, but that team was a lot of fun. It really was. We go to Chicago and we win one of the first couple of games. I think Mikey Lowell hits a pinch hit home run in the extra innings, and we win the first game, or maybe the second. I can't really remember. Either way, we're down 3-1, and we're down in Pro Player Stadium in Miami. And, it's Game 5. And in my opinion, just me, I felt like the Cubs were kicked back, and even if they lost Game 5, they were going to go home to Chicago and have Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood throw Game 6 and 7. So it didn't look like there was much urgency in Game 5 on their behalf, just looking at them over in the dugout and the way they're just lounging around and whatever. I'd been in the playoffs before, with Atlanta, and the intensity is picked up, and it looked to me like they lost that intensity in Game 5, and then just didn't have it. And I just thought, they don't care if they win or lose this game right here. So, because they feel like we're going back to Chicago. If we lose this one, there's no way they can beat us twice there with those two guys pitching. And I even said that after Game 6, after we won that game, when I was in the press conference, and I made those statements. I don't think Dusty Baker liked them, and he didn't really agree with them, but I was just stating what I thought I saw as my opinion. So, but anyhow, but we win Game 5, we go there Game 6, and we're down, and it's a real rambunctious place. I mean, Chicago sports fans, they're passionate too. When especially for the Cubs, the Cubs have had a long history of losing, and then you bring the GOAT into it and all this kind of stuff from years gone by. They had some deal with the GOAT, I don't know, a gift or something, and they hadn't won ever since. And so they're about to exercise this demon, so to speak, and they got the Marlins stand in the way, and so it was really rambunctious there early in that game. And we get into the 8th inning, 9th inning, whatever it was, and Pryor's pretty much cruising, but I could tell I let off that inning. I pinch hit that inning, and it looked to me like, just watching him during the game, he's getting late. He gets into the 7th inning. He missed a few spots with some pitches there, it seemed like, but still, he's still throwing well. But when I went up there and hit against him, it looked like he was getting a little frustrated. He wasn't locating his pitches as well as he wanted to, and he tried to throw me a pitch prior to the one I hit, and he didn't get it where he wanted it, and it's just, you could see him look on his face. It was like, he's disgusted. And so the next pitch to me, he just throws it right down the middle, and I just missed it. I popped it up to left field. So then, of course, that's one out, and we just kind of mount a rally. And I had a conversation with Moises Alou, and I played for Moises Alou's father, Felipe, in Montreal, and I had known, played against Mo, as we call him, for a few years. And so I was in the Dominican Republic, and this had to be in like 2012, 13, 14, somewhere around in there. And I spoke to him, and I said, "Hey, man, it's been a while." I said, since we had that game in Chicago, I said, "Were you going to catch that ball? Do you think you're going to catch it?" It's the first time I really got to talk to him and ask him anything about it. And he said, "No, I don't think I would have got it." He goes, I was a little aggravated that the fans kind of got in the way and I didn't really get a chance. He goes, "It had been tough. It's going to be a tough play." Because the way he goes, I go into the wall, I bang into the wall a little bit as I'm going up. He said, and then there's just a lot, there's just a lot going on above me, but I just didn't have a chance to make the catch, and that kind of aggravated me. So when you see him during the game, he's a little frustrated, to say the least, that he didn't get a chance to try to catch it. But he goes, I don't think I would have caught it. So that's just part of history, and then the rest. We tied the game up, took the lead, and then we won Game 6 and came back in Game 7, and they're beating us in Game 7, and we end up winning that game and going on to the World Series. But I will say this: one of the more exciting baseball series I was ever a part of was that with the Cubs. Those at Game 6 and 7. That place was, for an outdoor venue, was as loud as you could imagine it would be. It was loud. Those people were beside themselves that the Cubs may get a chance to go to the World Series here. And then as happy and as elated they were, at certain points, they were just as disappointed after Game 7. A lot of people sitting there in disbelief, crying. They love the Cubs. So, I understand it's kind of weird as a player. We play the game and we do it because we love doing it and we enjoy doing it, and it's our passion. And even though we get paid for it, I'd have played if they didn't pay me, but I guess some point in time they'd pay me. I have to pay some bills, and most of you guys feel that way. This is love playing the game, and you realize not everybody can play the game. And there's a lot of people that are very passionate about rooting for you, and you're their hometown team, and they've been a fan for years and years and years and years, and you represent them when you go out there. So to see the fans sitting there, and they're just, the players, they're in disbelief, and they're not happy about losing, and then you see the fans, and it's just, it's a tough situation to watch in sports when your team doesn't win. Especially when you get down into the playoffs, whether it's football or basketball, baseball, whatever. It's just, and that's the part of it that's no fun. The agony of defeat, because it's real. Like when the Braves teams were like business, like Bobby Cox was a very no nonsense manager. Where a lot of teams would have music in their clubhouse, blaring in their clubhouse and stuff like that. We didn't have that. Bobby's like, no, if you want to listen to music, put your headphones on and listen to whatever music you want to listen to. Just, we don't necessarily, not everyone wants to hear that. So, there wasn't a lot of shenanigans on that team, and they were real business-like. Now, contrast that to the Marlins teams, was a lot different. Marlins teams, we had music in the clubhouse, and guys were a little bit looser, and it was a totally different atmosphere. Two different teams, two different organizations, and your manager sets the tone, and everyone else just kind of falls in place. And we'd had Jeff Torborg there, and we had Jack McKeon, and Jack was an old school guy who he didn't mind letting the players play the music and stuff like that, but he had his rules and things that guys had to follow. And so two different teams, two different I guess ways to go about your business. But the Braves team was more of a business like approach. We showed up, and we had one thing on mind, and that was to win games. That was it. And that's all Bobby had in mind, and that's the way they went about things.
And
Players, all the players are, you got to remember now, most of the players on that Braves team had already been through 2 World Series. You know, they lost to the Twins, and then they turned around and lost to the Blue Jays. And then there's a couple years gap in there where they didn't play in the playoffs, didn't get to the World Series, and then we get back in '95, and I remember, the one thing in '95 that I can share, and we had a meeting before Game 6, and John Smoltz says, hey guys, look, I think it's pretty safe to say this is our 3rd shot at a world title with this group of players. A lot of us have been here together for a while. We came up through the system together. Some of you guys have been playing in this organization for a while. And what I would like to say is, if we don't win this thing this year, they may break this team up and start from scratch because it's not working. The end goal is to win the world championship. And so why are they paying all this money, to us if we're not, if we don't win it? So Ted may decide to tear it down and rebuild it. So basically, that was Smoltzy's message for us. I think everybody understand. I mean, everybody understood that. They understand that, sports, when the owner puts money up, he helps build a team, and if that's not working, then the owner's going to go, I'm not getting a return on my investment, so let's cut some payroll and save some money, and we'll try to develop with younger kids and see if we can make another run of it, and a little bit later, and that happens. But Ted Turner himself was a really good owner. He enjoyed baseball, and he and Jane Fonda were there a lot watching games. They were married at that time, and so it was enjoyable to see him around. And he was present as an owner. There's a lot of owners you never see in baseball. Never see them. They own the team, and you don't even know who it is. If you walk right up and stood in front of you, you'd never know the guy because they're not present. But Ted he was definitely present.